Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, starting today's show off with the biggest story in the NFL and really all of sports right now. Of course, that is Bills safety Damar Hamlin, who went down during the Bills, Bengals Monday night game. A very scary and tragic sight to see. Currently in critical condition, at least as I film right now. And all of us here at Chat Sports are giving Damar Hamlin's family, his friends, the entire Bills organization our deepest thoughts and prayers. We're going to run through some great examples of humanity right now and the overwhelming sheer of love and support coming from the entire football world to Damar Hamlin. So Russell Wilson, one of many Broncos players who tweeted out, "I am praying for you, Damar Hamlin, praying for health and safety." Mike Purcell also tweeted out something very similar, praying for Hamlin. These are not just the only two Broncos players who tweeted out their love and support for Damar Hamlin during this horrible, tragic time at the moment. Many other players did as well, including all 32 NFL teams. A photo of a collection right there. The Broncos themselves, of course, tweeting out their thoughts and prayers for Damar Hamlin during this extremely difficult time here. I also want to share this here from the Associated Press, and as I say what I'm about to say, it's going to change by the time you're probably watching this video. And that is Damar Hamlin's fundraiser to buy toys for kids received nearly $3.7 million in donations after he was critically injured in a game Monday. Thousands of donors left messages of hope on this GoFundMe page. It's over $4 million right now. It's really impossible to keep up with a tweet that has the exact figure because every minute it continues to go up and up. I've included a link to that GoFundMe in the comments and the description of today's show. So if you feel so inclined to donate to an excellent cause that has really just taken off ever since the injury, by all means, feel free to do so. But all of us here, we are thinking of you, Damar, and we hope that the next time we are all together and talking about football, you are in a better health spot, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully return to the field if that is possible. But nevertheless, the entire football world is thinking of Damar Hamlin right now. Until we get more on Hamlin, I wanted to touch on the latest from Jim Harbaugh to the Broncos, some speculation out there, so we'll spend the rest of the show on that subject because it's definitely a growing topic right now in Broncos country as some reports came out. We talked about this yesterday, actually, of Harbaugh possibly coming to Denver and the Broncos doing their homework and reaching out. So The Athletic dropped a bit of a bombshell article. We're going to talk about that and look at some other nuggets and rumors out there, if you will, on Harbaugh possibly returning to the National Football League. So Bruce Feldman from The Athletic, who is on the college football trail, tweeting out, "I think it's a done deal if he gets an offer." Jim Harbaugh led Michigan to consecutive Big Ten titles, but also been a great NFL coach. If an NFL team wants him, will he leave Michigan? Reporting, and then with a whole bunch of other athletic reporters. Now, here's what they said in their article. Multiple sources close to Jim Harbaugh told The Athletic on Monday they expect he will leave Michigan for the NFL if a franchise offers him a coaching job. You take that right there and you sort of combine it with this report right here that the Broncos reached out to Jim Harbaugh informing him that they are interested. 1 + 1 = 2, right? I mean, not that The Athletic has always been on the money. They've definitely had, like all journalists though, their fair share of misfires. But if the story of Jim Harbaugh will take an offer from the NFL if he gets one is true, well, then it sounds like Harbaugh is probably going to be the next Denver Broncos head coach. It's not always as simple as that. Not all these stories and rumors always materialize, but there's definitely a good reason to believe that there is some serious traction being gained here right now. The Broncos are not the only team looking at Harbaugh, though. Dov tweeting out, sources say that Panthers owner David Tepper has had a conversation with Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh regarding the Panthers head coaching vacancy. So, we might have a bit of a bidding war right now between the number 1 and the number 3 richest owners in the NFL. Listen, my boss is a big Michigan fan. I know there's a lot of Michigan fans out there saying he's not leaving Ann Arbor and he's not going to go take on the Broncos job, which doesn't appear very attractive right now. And they're not wrong about that part, right? taking on this team is not something most people are running to jump into. It's got a quarterback with a $245 million price tag that played more like $2.45 this year. But I could think of 20 million reasons why Jim Harbaugh might take this job. And that is the Broncos could offer him 20 plus million to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. I mean, we've shown this before, but I want to reiterate again, just so everyone really lets it sink in. The Broncos have more than extra money. They have all the money. They have more money than the second, third, and fourth richest owners in the league combined. Arguably, almost 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you were to poll an average NFL fan, who do you think the richest owner in the league is? They'd probably say the Rams, right? That whoever the Rams owner is, because they have such a cool stadium. Walton Penner is more than 5 times richer. If they want Harbaugh, and Harbaugh is willing to come back to the NFL, this should not be an overthink it, right? They're going to make him the richest the richest coach in the league. Right now, number 1 is Sean McVay at the neighborhood of 15 to 18 million. Let's call it in the middle. Let's call it 16 or 17 million. They're going to pick up the phone and say, Harbaugh, we're going to offer you $25 million. Now, I get it. This is not a team that's very sexy right now to take over, with Russell Wilson having a major disappointing year and not having a ton of draft capital. But $25 million, that's going to make you rethink some choices here. Now, Harbaugh last year was pretty close to coming back to the league. The Vikings were very interested in him. Never worked out. I'm sure both sides are pretty happy about that right now. But Harbaugh, after not getting the Vikings job, said this here. There was a pull to the NFL because I got that close to the Super Bowl, but this was the time, and this is the last time. Now, let's go chase college football's greatest prize. Harbaugh, you accomplished a ton at Michigan. I understand. I'm just talking to Jim right now. It was not the start you may have liked, but you have beaten Ohio State 2 straight years. You have made the college football playoff 2 straight years. I don't think you have to, envision yourself with your tail between your legs going back to the NFL just because you don't have a college football championship. So just because you didn't get the ultimate, granddaddy of them all, there is still a lot to be proud of what you did at Michigan, which is beating Ohio State twice, something that Michigan fans have been drooling over for a long time, and back-to-back Big Ten titles and college football playoff appearances. Now, another reason that the Broncos job may be even a little bit more appealing for Harbaugh, outside of just the money, is this here. I want to go to this quote from Broncos CEO Greg Penner right after they fired Nathaniel Hackett, okay? Here's what Penner said. I've worked with a lot of great CEOs, and it starts with really strong leadership. That's going to be the most critical factor here in a head coach. Obviously, the X's and O's are important, but we need a strong leader for this organization that's focused on winning. That starts with the culture. It's instilling a sense of accountability and discipline. We need an identity on offense. At the starting point, it has to be about culture and leadership. Those characteristics are what we'll be focused on the most. So Penner is not looking for some offensive guru, right, up-and-coming coordinator who's 25 years old. No, he is looking for a CEO. And if you remember, last year, Harbaugh and the Vikings sort of fell through because the Vikings didn't want to give all that sort of power over to the head coach, right? They didn't want him to have a monopoly on the power. Well, it looks like Greg Penner is looking for that. And that's what Harbaugh was looking for last year. A team to give him the job where he's got more control over the personnel. And it's not just the manager and Moneyball who has to deal with the players on the roster. Penner is flat out saying right now, we're not looking for some 40-year-old hotshot offensive coordinator. No, we want a CEO. And last year, that's exactly what Harbaugh wanted to do in the Vikings. The Vikings didn't quite want him to give him all that power. So it seems like the Broncos and Harbaugh are sort of a match made in heaven. Now, why Denver, right? There's a couple other teams looking for head coaches. David Tepper from the Panthers can offer him a lot of money. Now, three reasons why come to mind. The Stanford connection, of course. Harbaugh coached in Stanford, and you've got Condoleezza Rice, who is overlapping with him there. The Walton Penners also have some connection to Stanford, so they've got that to at least make some small talk on when they start the negotiations. there's just the overall lure of the NFL. Whether it's Denver or another city, the idea of winning the Lombardi Trophy is every single football player's dream. So for that, plus money talks, right? The biggest reason Michigan fans have for Harbaugh not going to the Broncos is that's a bad job right now. Russell Wilson sucks. Harbaugh's not going to go there. Well, you know what? $25 million might change his mind. And that can be kind of a tough card to beat, right? That's the ace of spades. That's a royal flush. That is something Michigan, who paid him in the neighborhood of $9 to $11 million this year, depending on incentives and whether or not he hit them, can be very difficult to keep up with if the Denver Broncos say, we're going to double your salary and then some. Also, Harbaugh was asked to take a pay cut during 2020 after COVID and whatnot, and it didn't quite go over super well with him, according to some people. I mean, don't read into that part too much, but I think that's a factor as well. So with that, we go to this tweet here. Scott Bell, who covers Michigan, tweeting out, to the people dismissing the Harbaugh to the NFL reports, you shouldn't. After some conversations I've had today, I think there's quite a bit of smoke here. Now, Michigan fans, and not just Michigan fans, but the naysayers, if you will, they've been down this road before. We've seen numerous examples of Harbaugh's going back to the NFL. Look at this here from Fox back in 2014. Oddly enough, from Bruce Feldman, who kind of started today's show off. Not so fast on the whole Harbaugh to Michigan deal, okay? Moving on here. What about this from the Detroit Free Press? ESPN predicts Michigan football's Jim Harbaugh to return to the NFL. That was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Didn't quite happen. All right. What about this year? Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the Rams is reportedly a very real possibility. Also from 4 or 5 years ago. Also, of course, did not happen. So this is not the first time we have seen Harbaugh linked to the NFL. And so maybe another time where Harbaugh ultimately decides, I want to stay at my alma mater. I want to finish what I started and win a national championship. But the difference between all those examples and right now is that Harbaugh has beaten Ohio State. He has made the college football playoff. He's checked a lot of boxes. And so if he doesn't feel the need that he has to check the championship box and he thinks he can leave Ann Arbor accomplishing a lot going, I came to Michigan and I left and it's a better spot than when I got here, that could be enough for him to feel, you know what? Maybe it's time to return to the pros, finish what I started there, and win a Super Bowl, because he took over a Niners team that, had 8 straight losing seasons, and they went to the NFC Championship game in his first season there. I mean, this is a beyond home run hire if the Broncos can get him. So that is it for today's show. Like I said at the top, though, if we get more Damar Hamlin updates, we will update you guys, of course. He is in our thoughts and our prayers. That link for his GoFundMe is in the comments section. So if you feel so inclined, by all means, feel free to make a donation. I'm going to sign off and see you guys later.